The Berlin Wall, a symbol of the Cold War and the difference between two forms of government that couldn't live alongside each other. To understand why the Berlin Wall came into place and why there needed to be a wall in order to maintain peace between East and West Berlin, we first need to look at the 1940s to fully understand when this is taking place.
(1945). By the end of World War II, more than 55 million people have died, and Europe lay in ruins. Russia's Red Army takes Berlin at a cost of 200,000 of its...
Quoting ThoughtCo's article titled The War Years, a timeline of the 1940s, the 1940s tower over every other decade of the 20th century as the most full of sorrow, patriotism, and ultimately hope at the beginning of a new era of American dominance on the world stage. Put yourself in the shoes of an average American citizen in the 1940s. The Second World War just ended. This is one of the only times you can be proud to call yourself an American citizen. But it's not just about you. Everyone around you celebrates the homecoming of hundreds of soldiers and mourns over the innocent civilians who lost their lives in the Holocaust. The last thing you want is another war, right? With this in mind, Great Britain, the United States, France, and the Soviet Union all split Germany equally among themselves. Wait a second. Germany's capital, Berlin, was located in Soviet's piece of land, so it was decided that Berlin would also be split equally. Wait a second. With all these different countries trying to spread their own influence, tensions began to rise. This is what led to the Cold War. More importantly, the building of the Berlin Wall. The Berlin Wall. Harry Truman was the 33rd President of the United States. Truman plays an important role in the Berlin Wall because of his standpoint on communism.
Before America's Congress, President Truman makes the most momentous speech since the death of Franklin Roosevelt. He declares political war on Soviet Russia. In American eyes, Britain is no longer the bulwark against communist expansion.
Great Britain finds itself under the necessity of reducing...
Truman created the Truman Doctrine and the Marshall Plan. The doctrine stated that the United States would only support those who reject communism. And the Marshall Plan, which according to History.com, the Marshall Plan, also known as the European Recovery Program, was a U.S. program providing aid to Western Europe following the devastation of World War II. Essentially, this meant while other countries were getting millions of dollars from the U.S., the Soviet Union was left on its own. This is what led to the Cold War, the fight between wanting and not wanting the spread of communism.
The German capital and country will be jointly administered by the 4 victorious allies in 4 separate zones. In the west, France, Britain, and the U.S. In the east, the Soviet Union. And in the middle of the Soviet zone, Berlin is divided again.
The blockade around West Berlin started with all roads being blocked off to barbed wires and so forth.
This is where the barriers marking the border begin. Going further means risking life and limb. This is what it looks like at the start of the 1980s. 2 soldiers guard a 200-meter stretch of border here. In total, there are 12,000 border troops posted in Berlin. Next obstacle is a signal fence. Touch it, and a silent alarm goes off. Soldiers in the watchtowers can immediately see where the alarm has been triggered. Tank traps prevent escapees from breaking through, but also the guards. On the other side, a carpet of steel spikes 14 centimeters long.
It wasn't until 30 years later that Ronald Reagan, the 40th President of the United States, made a speech in West Germany.
Mr. Gorbachev, open this gate. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
The falling of Berlin was significant to the downfall of communism in Europe and the overall disapproval of communism as an ideology. Today, there are only 5 remaining communistic countries left in the world, but maybe, in a better world, there won't be any at all.